New set, new extra point, which starts right now. Set. I'm your host, Kate Woynerowski, and joining me tonight are Griffin Barfield, Patrick Driscoll, and Daniel Dungan. Guys, look at the new set. It looks so nice.
We're back and better than ever.
I know, right?
It's lovely.
Oh, absolutely. And I cannot wait to start talking about this weekend. Guys, it's conference championship weekend in college football. Let's go. So let's start out with the Friday night game. We've got the Pac-12 championship. We have number 11 Utah and number 4 USC. So, guys, does USC survive this and stay in the playoff conversation? Yes. All right. Griffin, let's start with you on this.
I love USC. I watched their game against Notre Dame last week, and honestly, I've told all of them this, that Caleb Williams is the Heisman, but I don't think that Utah have to worry about just him. They have to worry about that run game. When Travis Dye went out, Austin Jones filled in for that running back spot, and he did incredible. He had over 100 yards. He made sure that the run game was to be messed with because Jordan Addison to Caleb Williams, it's just that offense is very tough to stop. I think this is what USC wanted. They wanted a top 4 team. That's why they got Lincoln Riley. And that's why they got all these players in the transfer portal. I think they pulled out.
USC, I mean, come on. We saw it last week. I'm going to say it right here. Caleb Williams, he's the truth. He's the truth. And he should be league bound. Too bad he isn't due to him being too young. He's the Heisman, the clear Heisman candidate. I don't think anything this week is really going to change that. Caleb Williams is the truth. And him, Lincoln Riley, Jordan Addison, all of them have been planning on this ever since they all came together last year. This is the time for USC. USC's back, and they're gonna keep going. USC all the way.
I mean, enough said. USC. I wasn't too sold on Caleb Williams as a Heisman contender until the Notre Dame game when he played some good competition. So.
Yeah, and even you can argue maybe that UCLA game when he pulled it out as well. I think that was also probably a moment where you could argue he won the Heisman. But I think more so you could really argue that the downfall of C.J. Stroud against Michigan was really the moment when everyone realized that Caleb Williams will probably win it. And not to mention the injury of Hendon Hooker. So see what happens, see if he can make it official on Friday night. All right, let's move on now to the ACC Championship in Charlotte, North Carolina. 8 o'clock game Saturday night. We've got number 9 Clemson taking on number 23 North Carolina. Guys, this really does not mean much at all for playoff implications, but it will be interesting to see if Clemson can bounce back from their loss against South Carolina over the weekend. So, guys, how does Clemson do? All right. Feeling confident. All right. Yeah. Patrick?
Yeah, it's kind of disappointing how both Clemson and USC lost last week. It definitely brings down the hype of this game a little bit, and I think it really comes to show how weak of a conference the ACC is compared to other Power 5 conferences. But still doesn't change the fact that Clemson is going to win this game. UNC's, they're not that impressive. They do have a great quarterback, but it doesn't really matter. Clemson's just overall the big brother of the conference, and they have been the past 8-9 years. It doesn't really matter what really happens. Clemson's still going to get it done. They're going to be angry after losing to USC especially.
All right, Daniel?
Yeah, UNC's defense isn't too impressive, and they play a lot of close games this year. Clemson's pretty much handled all of their ACC opponents except Syracuse. Yeah, they're all pretty much blowouts except Syracuse, so Clemson will win it.
Griffin?
Like Patrick said, it's very disappointing. We thought this could be a huge top 10 matchup, playoff implications, but we were proven wrong. I think Clemson wins this game. I think DJ has a bounce back game. You know, there's a lot of people that are calling him out, saying that he didn't have a great performance last week. But I think that he has a better performance, and especially against Drake May, who recently won the ACC Player of the Year. I think that it will be an interesting quarterback showdown for sure, but I think Clemson pulls it out.
All right. Well, we've got all faith in Clemson, so we'll see what they do on Saturday. Let's move on now to another weaker matchup. Let's go to Purdue versus Michigan. Number 2 Michigan, well, they've got a chance to be in the playoff once again. As they take on Purdue Saturday night, Indianapolis, who do you have for this one?
Gosh, I cannot find a good marker. Michigan.
Definitely
Daniel, we'll
Michigan.
start with you.
Yeah, definitely Michigan. They're going to run all over Purdue, and that's all I got to say about that.
Griffin?
Michigan. J.J. McCarthy proved me wrong last week. He had a great game. I think Michigan pretty set in stone. I like them this week.
Patrick?
Yeah, this is going to be my quickest analysis of any of these matchups. It's clearly going to be Michigan. They rolled past Ohio State. They just looked phenomenal all around the board. They have so much momentum going, so Michigan.
All right. Well, Michigan it is then. Then let's move on now to another playoff matchup. We've got number 14 LSU taking on number 1 Georgia in Atlanta. Okay, guys, in all seriousness, does Georgia stay undefeated and go to the playoff once again? Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Definitely.
Griffin?
I mean, I'll keep this short and sweet. Georgia look unstoppable. LSU, they've been iffy, especially with the loss last week. I think Georgia just steamrolls them, and they have the home field advantage. It's in Atlanta.
Yep.
Yeah, in my heart, I want LSU to win so bad, but LSU, they just look too one-dimensional to beat Georgia. They love that read option with Jane Daniels, and their passing game, they were just way too one-dimensional. Georgia is just stacked all across the board, whether it's offense or defense. And right now, I still know who can beat Georgia, if I'm being honest. So I got the Dogs.
Yeah, the skill on Georgia is just miles above everybody else. I don't see LSU beating Georgia at all, or even close.
Yeah.
It won't be close.
Yeah, after last week, you could even argue that maybe LSU was looking ahead to Georgia this weekend, but will it pay off? I don't know. We'll see about that. All right, now let's move on to the most intriguing conference championship, in my opinion. We've got number 10 Kansas State taking on number 3 TCU in Arlington. So, guys, who do you have here? Do we have TCU going undefeated, as we all predicted, to finish out the season? Yes. All right, Patrick, let's start with you here.
I'm pretty sure, fun fact, I think we all picked the same team for every single match.
Yep,
which
you
is
did.
unprecedented stuff on the extra point, which is awesome. Anyway, TCU, I'm not going to go on too much about this. They are so amped up for this. Last time they were even close to a position like this, you had Andy Dalton smelling the roses back in 2011. It's been a long time coming for TCU, and they are pretty dang excited. I don't think Kansas State is really going to stop them right here. Duggan's just going to keep it rolling.
Daniel?
Yeah, TCU's got that big playoff on their minds. They'll make sure they get in. Kansas State doesn't seem too threatening, even though they're ranked high. So.
Yeah. Griffin?
TCU are so close they can taste it. They're so close, and their defense has been performing so well. They only let Texas put 17. I think they've averaged only 17 points against in their last 3 games, which shows everything's going up at the right time. I think TCU pulls this one out. I think it's a closer game than people think, and off to the playoff.
All right. Well, Speaking of the college football playoff, let's start with that. So let's do some buy or sell. So are we buying or selling that the top 4 in the college football playoff will be the same next week? All right, I'm going to assume it's a quick buy from all of you.
Yeah.
All right, Griffin, start with you.
I mean, I'm just saying this so there's no Ohio State or Alabama next weekend. But,
That's so valid.
but
I don't
I
believe
think that this is a very intriguing top 4. I think each of them have a huge win this weekend. And honestly, I like these matchups. If everything stays the same, you got Georgia and USC, Heisman winner against the reigning champs, and Michigan and TCU, 2 kind of teams that maybe we didn't think, maybe didn't start off as strong as we thought. I think it's going to be a great playoff if these 4 teams make it, and I think they will.
Yeah, I mean, just seems like the theme today is great minds think alike. Obviously, all of us are buying this. There's really nothing that can stop these 4. These 4 teams control their own destiny right here, and I don't think they're going to fumble the bag on it. It's going to be a really fun playoff if these 4 teams stay in it. It's a very unique one. I feel like you just see Bama, Clemson, the stereotypical playoff teams. But there are 4 teams that are just all unique and so special in their own way. I really hope each team can win it out.
Yeah, it's refreshing. It would be refreshing not to have Ohio State, Bama, or Clemson in it.
Oh, yeah, Ohio State, too.
Yeah. So I'm ready for this playoff. It's finally interesting. It's not SEC Championship 2.0.
Yeah, exactly. I know. I was going to say, as a Clemson fan, if we can't be in the playoff, I mean, might as well not have Bama or Ohio State there either. Like, I'm cool with that, honestly. So, no, I think it will be really intriguing, though. What will happen if someone goes down this weekend? I have no idea. Like, what happens if Georgia loses? Are they out of the playoff completely? I don't know. I think that's will make it very intriguing. But I think I agree with all of you in the sense that I think this weekend will not have much drama at all, and I think it'll be smooth sailing, and it'll be easy for the playoff committee on Sunday to figure out who will be in the playoff. But we'll see. Time will tell. All right, speaking of time will tell, Auburn just hired Hugh Freeze for their next head coach. Guys, was this the right move? Are we buying or selling this hire?
My marker is given out, but bye.
All right, why are we buying this, Patrick?
I like the move. He was at Ole Miss before, moved to Liberty, and Liberty is a team that you wouldn't expect to be good at college football, but thinking about it the past couple of years, like, we've seen Liberty's name a lot more than people give credit for. He's turned around that football program, and say what you want about Freeze, I think he's just the right man for the job. NIL especially, I think it's really easy to come in. You saw, I'm not going to say he has the prestige of Lincoln Riley, but you saw what Lincoln Riley could do 1 year, just having a big name head coach come in like that. I'm sure he's definitely going to be intriguing some guys for recruiting and transfer portal alike. So I like the move. I think it's a great move for Auburn, and I'm excited to see what he can do.
All right, Daniel.
I just said who. I don't know this guy. Yeah, I got some reading to do.
No, you're good. Griffin.
I like the move. I think, he was able to build Ole Miss up as far as he could go. But Auburn, I think, has a higher ceiling. They have won the national championship before, and they were a finalist a couple of years ago when the whole Gus Malzahn, Nick Marshall, whole kick six. I think it's a good move for Auburn. They have struggled a little bit lately. But I think that, Hugh Freeze will take this team in the right direction and put him back in SEC contention.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the only thing that concerns me about Hugh Freeze is just the things he had going on at Ole Miss, just the violations that he had. I think that was the only thing, if you're an Auburn fan, that's a little concerning. But you're definitely all right in that he does know how to build a good football program. You saw that at Ole Miss and you saw that at Liberty as well. So I could definitely see him succeeding in recruiting in that sense. But it'll be interesting to see what happens, and especially with Alabama suddenly going downhill this season, how does he take advantage of that? So I think that'll be really interesting. All right, let's move on now to the NFL. So Jets quarterback Zach Wilson was benched this weekend after going 9 for 22 in his last game and failing to take accountability for himself. Guys, buy or sell, Zach Wilson will never be the starter for the Jets again. Ooh, okay. Daniel, I'll start with you on this one.
I'm going to buy this because the offense has not been moving well at all under Zach Wilson. He's only got like 7 touchdowns on the year, if that. Less than Russell Wilson, which is pretty bad. So, and then Mike White comes in, throws 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. They're moving on from Zach Wilson.
All right, Griffin.
I'm just not a fan of Zach Wilson. I don't like the way he plays. I think that he's too hot-headed to think that he's better than he thinks. And I think it was real childish of what he did in the interview, saying that he wasn't held accountable when he only put 3 points on a Patriots defense. I just think the Jets have greener pastures with quarterbacks besides Wilson. Obviously, the run game and the defense has been carrying them a lot until Breece Hall went down with an injury. Then you saw Zach Wilson's true colors. I'm going to sell this because Mike White had a much better game.
Yep. All right.
Yeah, great points there, but I think the word never is a little too much. I'm going to say it right now, I believe he's never the go-to guy again. But will he start the game for the Jets again? While the Jets are a little more refreshing this year, in my head, they're still the Jets. And I think there's going to somehow be some sort of scenario where Zach Wilson has to step up and start a game for them, whether it's this year or next year. So who knows what's going to happen. I don't like what he said to the media, but I believe he may start 1 or 2 more times for the Jets. But that's about it.
Good point. Good point. Good points there, yeah. It could be a scenario where you might have to come in the next year, or you could just, I don't know, do you think he'll get traded at the end of the season, maybe, if Mike White performs well? Maybe to like a Texans or an Indianapolis, per se?
I think they'll just hold on to him, those rookie contracts up.
Yep,
Or
I was
whatever
going
his
to say, you're
contract
probably
is.
right
Yeah.
on that. Yep.
Not solid backup, but there's an option.
Yeah.
He's an option. Yeah, exactly. All right, then. Let's move on now. We've got some NFL pick'ems. So we're going to start with my lovely Commanders, who have actually not disappointed me this season, and I'm so grateful for it. But now they have to go to the Giants. So, guys, who do you have for this game? All right. Griffin, I'll start with you here.
Am I the odd one out here? I am.
Go.
Well, the Giants are my team, so I can't go against them. I thought they obviously have a lot of injuries, especially on the offensive line. Andrew Thomas is questionable, Evan Neal's out. Defense is shaken up. But I honestly think that despite losing against the Cowboys, they performed pretty well, and they were able to contain them to as far as they could until, CD and Zeke ran all over them. But I think that this game will be closer than people think. I obviously think Daniel Jones versus Taylor Heinicke is kind of like a weird quarterback matchup. But I think the Giants pull it out because they honestly pull out wins when I don't think they'll win. So we'll see if it happens here.
All right. So you're saying you don't think they'll win, but
I'm saying it'll be close. I'm saying it will be close because they've proved me
Loyal
wrong
fan.
before. So I'm
that's
they're
fair.
gonna sneak out a win somehow. I don't know how, but they will.
Okay, Patrick.
See, if Carson Wentz was the starting quarterback for the Commanders still, I don't know how bad of a situation they'd be in, but I'm sure the Bears would have the number 3 pick instead of the number 2 pick because it was looking that bad for Washington early on this year. But they are on fire lately. My man, Brian Robinson, gets shot in preseason. Doesn't matter. 5 weeks later, he's back, and he has formed quite the rushing attack with Antonio Gibson, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
They have threats in Curtis Samuel and Terry McLaurin. Taylor Heinicke's been balling out for this Commanders team. They got guys like Chase Young, too, on the defensive side of the ball. And I just like the way they're going right now. They are rolling right now. I'm a big Saquon fan, so the fan in me wants the Giants to win, but I just really like the way the Commanders are going. So I think they're going to come in and get the dub.
All right, Daniel.
I do have Saquon on my fantasy, so I'm going to score like 4 touchdowns. But I really like what the Commanders have done with Taylor Heinicke. They have a different energy when he's on the field and in that team. The whole team's been playing better, and even the defense is playing better. I just love what the Commanders have done since they changed quarterbacks.
I honestly agree with you. I really love what they've done with Heinicke as well. I mean, even a couple of years ago when he played, I really loved what they did with him as well. So I'm happy he has that fire back, and that team has their fire back as well. And gosh, I'm just thankful that we're over 500 at this point with our division. So I don't know who will win. I have a feeling the Giants will win just because I'm used to being disappointed by the Commanders, but we'll see. I definitely think, though, it will be a good and entertaining game. So, all right, let's move on now. We've got the Steelers, the 4-7 Steelers, traveling to Atlanta, 5-7. So we've got a matchup of 7 losses. All right, who do we have in this one?
My marker just keeps on.
Patrick, then why don't you just go first and explain?
I'm picking Atlanta. I really don't like this matchup. Just sounds so awful on paper, but you know, I just don't like the Steelers this year, and I'm a huge Mike Tomlin fan. But the fact is that this offense led by the Steelers is it's just not good. Najee Harris, terrible year for him this year. I don't know if he's dealing with injuries or whatnot, but I'm pretty sure he didn't even get like 40 yards last game or something ridiculous like that. What's that?
He got hurt.
Oh yeah, he got hurt. Yeah, because my brother was complaining about his parlay to me about Najee Harris. So, but yeah, I kind of like Atlanta and just like the dynamic of their offense with Mariota and Cordero Patterson. I know Kyle Pitts is out for the year, which kind of stinks, but I'm just gonna go with the Dirty Birds on this one.
All right, Daniel.
Same. I think the Atlanta offense can produce better than what the Steelers can produce, and Steelers are just ugly this whole season. Pickett has been ugly too. So.
Well, how they've won 4 times, though, is beyond me. I'm not gonna lie. Griffin.
I got the Steelers. I honestly think that they've not turned it around, but Kenny Pickett's kind of turning his way around, kind of getting more comfortable in the QB role. I think I don't know the record, but he is like either 500 or he's a positive win record in the last 3 or 4 games. But the Steelers, they looked all right on Monday. They got passes where they needed to go. Pickens has gotten a bigger role. Deontay Johnson's gotten a bigger role. And I kind of like this run game with, Benny Snell and Anthony McFarland. If Najee Harris isn't there, they'll perform. I think the Steelers pull it off.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens on Sunday then. See how the Steelers perform without Jeff Saturday messing up his call for timeouts. All right, let's move on now. We've got another 4-7 matchup. We've got the Jaguars traveling to Detroit to take on the Lions. Guys, can Trevor Lawrence repeat his electric performance from Sunday against the Ravens?
He sure can.
You know what? I'll do Lions. Yeah.
Oh,
Why Lions?
looks like I'm the odd man out now.
I think it's just, the Jaguars playing good right now under, what's his name? Trevor Lawrence. I should know that. And something about the Lions. They have a good offense and a mediocre defense, but I don't know. It'll be a shootout and they'll win it.
All right, Griffin.
I got the Lions as well. I think they blew, everyone away at Thanksgiving with the way that they performed against Buffalo. The offense is back. Amon-Ra St. Brown is their big guy. He was back. He's suffered a couple injuries. I know because of my fantasy team. DeAndre Swift's back. So they always got the two-headed monster of Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift. And Jared Goff's not that bad. I think, the Jags may be high off this win. These bettors may be like, yeah, maybe this, maybe that. But I think Dan Campbell pulls it out in some way, shape, or form. I like the Lions.
Trevor's the truth. Duval, stand up. Jacksonville, they're going to get it done. I forget who had the quote about Trevor Lawrence. I think it was the backup running back who filled in for ETN, who did a tremendous job, by the way. Don't know why I can't get to his name.
Hasty?
Yep, Jermichael Hasty, that's who it was. And the quote he just had about Trevor being such a leader in the team, rallying around him, I think that's huge for the team morale, and I think that's going to be the big difference. I'm not saying the Lions have bad chemistry in the locker room by any means necessary, but I just think it's a really good step for Jacksonville and Trevor Lawrence especially, and they're just going to keep riding that momentum. So, Jacksonville.
All right. Yeah, it'll be interesting. We've got 2 teams here who are definitely on the upward trend, so it'll be interesting to see how they battle it out on Sunday. So let's move on now to a much better matchup, I promise you. We've got the Kansas City Chiefs traveling to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. So Who do you have in this matchup here? All right, Griffin.
I like the Chiefs. I think the Bengals, I think everyone is kind of, relying on Jamar Chase to come back and save the day and put up the huge, Madden-numbered game that he had, in the last 2 weeks of the regular season last year. But I think the Chiefs pull it out. I think, they're pissed off. They lost the ACC championship game. They blew a lead. I think Patrick Mahomes won't let it down that easy, and I think the Chiefs pull out a win.
All right, Patrick.
I also have the Chiefs on this one. I was watching First Take or one of the shows this morning, and they were asking who has the best offense in the NFL. It made me think. They were all saying the Dolphins, but when you think about the Dolphins, they have so many big names in Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. The Chiefs, though, other than Kelsey, it's just Mahomes and just all of these under the radar slept on players. I feel like I love the way they use Juju. I love their running back rotation and Isaiah Pacheco. There's Valdez-Scantling. It doesn't even matter what Mahomes has. I think just with how versatile he is, it just makes them the number one offense in this league. And I think it's going to be a shootout, and KC is just going to score more points than them. Simple enough.
I'm ready for a shootout, but give me the Bengals at home.
Ooh.
They're going to do it just like they did last year. Is Chase healthy, though? Chase is healthy?
He's supposed to be back.
Yeah.
So Bengals are going to take this with Chase.
You have to make sure there. I get that. Yeah, no, it'll be a really good matchup on Sunday. I'm really looking forward to it, especially two decent teams battling against each other, and we've got Mahomes against Burrow. Very interesting. I'm really excited for that. All right, moving on now to our last matchup. We've got the Los Angeles Chargers taking on the Las Vegas Raiders. Wow, do I want to call them San Diego and Oakland right now? I will not. So this is for RJ, if you're here. Who do we have in this one?
RJ, this one's for you. This one's for you.
Griffin.
Raiders, they're finding ways to win. I think they've won 2 consecutive games in OT, so they're finding ways. Josh Jacobs is a dog. He has just erupted, kind of rejuvenated this offense even more, and I think these are 2 teams that are kind of the Raiders are going this way and the Chargers are going that way, kind of. I just don't think, Justin Herbert has taken the next level that we've all expected him to, and I think the Raiders pulled this one out. I know the Chargers won week 1, but I think the Raiders are pissed off. They want to get a couple wins under their belt going into maybe playoffs, trying to sneak into the wild card, and maybe they do. I think they do.
All right. Patrick, you have the Raiders too.
Yup. Shout out my man, RJ. Wish he was here to see a whole new studio, but I'm sure we'll see and hear from him soon enough. I also have the Raiders, and I think I was literally thinking about it a couple seconds ago. I think it's honestly it just comes down to how much of a beast Josh Jacobs has been. And what's really significant about that is you have that rushing attack in Josh Jacobs, and then you got Devontae Adams, still one of the best receivers in the league by far. Just being able to get out there, maybe they can get some play action, deep bombs to him in the game. Just utilize the trio of Carr, Adams, and Jacobs, and really just put it together. And I think right now it's starting to click for Las Vegas. So I think they're going to keep this momentum up, and they're going to take the dub.
All right, Daniel, you're our lone Chargers pick, right?
It really depends on which Derek Carr shows up. And it being a bit mid-late season, I think he's better. He's more confident under the new system, new offense. And for my man RJ, the Vegas will take it.
Oh,
He changed it.
okay. So we've got 3 Raiders picks. Gosh, RJ would be so proud if only he was here.
Shedding a tear.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh. All right, well, that's it for tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in to The Extra Point, and we'll see you next week with our final episode of the semester. Bye, everyone.